booties for black girl nerds.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm your host, Ryanne Bennett, and you know what it is? It's time for another Batwoman recap. Episode 6 here. This episode was crazy, had me on the edge of my seat. But real quick, I want to mention a couple things here that I kind of been, just kind of letting, I want to see how it kind of plays out. I still want to see how it plays out, really. But I want to kind of mention a couple things here. Okay, as a black woman trying to recap this show, I want to kind of point out a couple things here that I've been kind of thinking about that's been on my mind. So number one, I was already not too happy about, we get this black woman superhero and her pull her draw to the suit, from her past of, being in prison. Not really this thing where she's kind of sometimes she's always in the wrong place, wrong time sort of thing. And so basically we have her spending 18 months in prison. She gets out, she doesn't have a job, doesn't have anywhere to stay. So you have all those things. You're like, do I really need this to be the backstory for the black woman or a black woman being Batwoman, being a superhero? Hell no. But we were kind of working through, okay, now she has a job, now she has somewhere to actual place to stay instead of her van. So we're kind of building up working here. Here's the other thing about that. Then we find out that the 18 months was served for her ex, which just so happens to be a white character on the show. Pointing this out because we know in some of these other superhero shows that we love and we watch and we hope that will continue to diversify and continue to pick up their cast or diversify their cast. You get nervous of having this black lead and they're tied to the white character, or this being, this dynamic that is what landed her in prison. And the fact that we kind of learned throughout the episode that Angelique, the character, is not giving up this life, even though Ryan has sacrificed for her. So those are just some things that I wanted to point out. As a black woman, you're taking note of this. You're still watching and recapping, because we know if we don't stop, if we stop watching, if we're not giving our feedback, if we're not telling what's bothering us, Hollywood takes that as a sign of it's okay, or they think that, oh, if they're not watching it or something, let's just move on to the next. They don't want a black female superhero. Wrong on all accounts. We want a black female superhero. We just want to pay attention to a couple of these details here. So yeah, we're just going to keep venting and pointing that stuff out. All right, so now that I got that out, let's get into episode 6 here. It's called Do Not Resuscitate. So many different meanings you can go with this titles. I'm by the way loving the way they're stacking these titles and everything, and all the naming and everything here matches out perfectly. So basically, I'm gonna kind of stay with Batwoman a lot here for this episode, because it was a majority, or I should say Ryan Wilder, a part of that too, was a majority of them riding throughout this, and we get a little kind of intermix of the other characters. But the big thing here is Ryan is heavily suffering from this injury that we know about, the kryptonite. And the other thing too of having to deal with the fact that kryptonite with Batwoman is just insane to me. Like, you guys let me know if you know something in the comics, but I'm just used to keeping that in Superman's world. So Superman, Supergirl's world. So this is insane to me that this episode of what we had to deal with. But anyway, so to get Batwoman Ryan Wilder's story here. Batwoman starts out trying to go through. She's fighting on the streets, taking the bad guys out. Has an attack of where she's like grabbing her chest. You could tell she's in pain, falls out on the ground. She ends up having to go to the hospital, and apparently showed up at Angelique's door. So I guess maybe Angelique is the one that took her to the hospital, because we now know that she's back, back with her ex, or having her moments and everything here. There are some very interesting moments in this medical scene that I want to point out, like the fact that Angelique brought up that the leading cause of black women death, or black people death in healthcare and the health system is, when they're not getting the proper care, people aren't paying attention, people are not running the right tests. So I thought that was an interesting thing to point out in the hospital, the healthcare scene here. But yeah, but also too, to point out here, Ryan has made this 18-month sacrifice for Angelique, and she's still in this drug game. She's still dealing these drugs for the rich and famous. She believes this is the skill she has. It's all she has to offer. She's caught up in his life. To her, this is something that somebody in a way caring for her, or somebody acknowledging her in a certain way that she didn't always have, because she never got adopted and came out of the foster care system like Ryan. So just some notes here to kind of make about Angelique's character. But anyway, throughout this hospital test, though, one thing that came out is that Ryan, now we know through her having a blood test, getting labs done. Well, we kind of already knew this as an audience, but having doctors and everything finally kind of diagnosed this, she now has this radioactive material sourcing throughout her body, throughout her blood. So we're slowly learning, okay, this is, if she doesn't find this magic or cure or find something, this is killing her essentially. Like this is going, like she can't take this kind of radiation and all this stuff running throughout her veins here. That was the whole point of why they were watching out for the kryptonite, because it was the only thing that compares the Batwoman suit. But she was too busy trying to, protect and show that she can handle the suit and step into Kate Kane's life, that she didn't want to tell anybody that she was hit by kryptonite. Another thing that is gonna probably continue to come up, or another thing that was pointed out is sometimes about Black women, about how strong they are, but you do need to lean on somebody, you need to ask for help. So she's kind of running out. She's kind of ran this clock out to ask for help. So we're gonna see how this goes. Makes me very nervous for Ryan. So we have that part here. Also, too, on another tip, just to take a small step away, we have Mary and Jake, who end up getting kidnapped by a patient from, I believe, Hamilton, because there's a doctor there, a corrupt doctor there, that apparently has figured out this whole cure that came by, that came from the desert rose, this flower that they got the magical cure, when everybody was attacked by the bats in a city, that kind of cured everybody. Apparently it was curing other things too, like it cured a little boy's cancer, as we see that opens up the show. So now they want more of it, of course. They want, this kind of stuff gets into the wrong people's hands, which kind of explains why Sophia was a little bit pissed about all these people that keep trying to take this desert rose, take this flower out of Coriana. So that kind of explains that, because once you started getting it out, everybody wants their little piece. All the corrupt people come out of the woodworks. So we have that little story going on where they end up getting kidnapped by a patient that is working for this doctor that wants to cure all for himself. So that's another little side story that we have going on. Now, shifting back to Batwoman, I want to bring in Sophie a little bit here, because Sophie's main point throughout this whole episode was that she was going to figure out what his Napier painting was, because we all figured out that last episode it was a fake. So that was her whole mission throughout this whole thing. The way she goes about finding this painting, I'm a little bit upset with her about. But I mean, she does have some come to Jesus moment, so to speak, with Ryan about what's going on here. So she comes to Ryan first at the bar. And she's like, look, Angelique is getting her supply, getting the snake bite from Ocean. So we know he's selling it to her. So I need you to put this tracker on her phone so we can figure out where she's meeting and where the location is, where Ocean is. Of course, Ryan is not going for that. She's not going to betray. She's already spent, we know how she feels about love. We know how she feels about Angelique. She spent the prison time. She's not getting ready to give Angelique up like this. So her and Sophie have it out, because we know Sophie's past of not fighting for Cade and that whole thing that they had going on. So she ends up bringing that out. So we get to see that. We get to see Sophie and her feelings a little bit here. And you kind of see there's something going on with Sophie as she's kind of reflecting, going throughout this episode, kind of bringing up some things here. But, she's still on her mission there. So we have that piece. We have that going on. So now I wanna kind of hop into Alice and Ocean a little bit back here before we get back to Batwoman. But Alice and Ocean, we know, are hitman and woman on the run here, trying to figure out what Sophia has done to them. Basically, their story just continues to add more layers and get more complicated, because I think there's a romantic relationship building here, because they're both realizing they were part of Sophia's game of trying to have their memory wiped. And she just wanted to use them for what they were doing on the island. As soon as they tried to leave, she was pissed. As soon as they try to grab the desert rose, both of them, so she was pissed about that. So she has it out for them. So Alice's main thing we know is to kill Ocean so that she can take and once Ocean is dead, Sophia is apparently gonna give her the location of Kate. So Alice is not letting this go, that she feels some kind of connection to Ocean or whatever. So basically we end their thing with, after we see a ton of flashbacks, still trying to figure out exactly what they are, some kind of awkward pauses and stuff. We ended up seeing Alice pretend to kill Ocean, and then Ocean getting up, walking away. So now we still have this dynamic hit team still on their way, doing whatever they're going to do. So who knows if they're going to go back to Corona, how they're going to make this new dynamic fit out with them, with the both of them, just playing out, seeing how it goes with them and Sophia, how this relationship is going to go. We don't know. So, hey, it's still building out. Maybe she's found her a boo to make her a little bit less crazy on her mission. I always try to figure out some way to ruin Kate, even when Kate's life, or do something to Kate, even when she's not really in the picture. So we're going to see how this goes. So there's that. So that kind of wraps that up. Now let's go back to Batwoman here, Ryan here. Luke has finally realized that Ryan has been keeping that she's been hurt from him too, because they ended up getting, the way Luke finds out is they end up getting brought into the situation like about Mary and Jake, who end up getting kidnapped by like I may have mentioned, end up getting kidnapped by the doctor that wants this cure. So they ended up getting dragged into this situation. Ryan is like, look, what was I supposed to tell you? I wanted you to trust me and feel like I can do this. I wasn't getting ready to call out on a sick day. So this is kind of an come to terms, an interaction between Ryan and Luke, where he's finally realizing, okay, I was doing too much in the past. I was too much on Team Kate, not enough on Team Ryan. So I love that kind of dynamic where they finally have their moment where it's like, okay, I should have stopped a little bit. I should have asked how you doing. I should have checked. So now he's worried. And so we kind of get the conclusion of the bat team now, of that. Now we feel like Luke and Mary are more of a team supporting Ryan. And now they're trying to figure out, okay, how can we help her? How can we fix this? That this is now killing her, this injury that she suffered in the bat suit. Now, as far as Ryan and Batwoman, how this episode kind of ended up with her, we are now dealing with the fact that she ended up, so she had in her grasp the map. I should mention she did have in her grasp the map, because Sophie ended up getting the map from Ocean and Alice. So she did have the map in her grasp. You know, she was fighting hard for it. She was able to get an adrenaline shot. Her and Luke made a good team in the save for this, and defeating this psycho patient that got out and was trying to help the doctor. But the doctor did come back, and in order to save Sophie, because we know Batwoman's not getting ready to let anybody die on her watch, so in order to save Sophie, Batwoman had to let this guy take the map. So we're back to square one again. Nobody has the map. Batwoman now is becoming a key part in needing this map and needing to get to this island where she wasn't before. So we might have to see her work with Alice, which, you know, she can't stand Alice because Alice killed her mom. We're having to see her work with Sophie, and, you know, wondering if Sophie's ever going to get close, because Sophie also knows Ryan. So wondering if she's going to get ever closer putting those two and two together. So we have all these dynamics now, all these people chasing this one map for different reasons. So yeah, this story is about to continue to flow and continue to get interesting here, and new things developing. But yeah, I'm just really nervous, guys, for Ryan and how Batwoman is in here, because she basically ends the episode in pain because she's still having to deal with this this injury. Also, I have to get in here real quick. We see that there's a falling out between her and Angelique, because Angelique is not letting this drug game go, and she finds out that Ryan used some tech to figure out what Ocean was. So all that stuff unfolded. So yeah, it was a rough episode for Batwoman. So we're just gonna keep riding out the train, keep seeing what happens. Although I'm not gonna say I was personally that sad about the Angelique. I'm sad that Ryan is having to deal with that side of losing that too, as part of also that she's in pain. But the Ryan Angelique thing had to separate there a little bit, if I do say so myself. So hey, we just gonna have to keep pushing it out, keep working through it, and see where this goes. By the way, March 14th is the episode of Batwoman, so it'll be a little break here for a couple of weeks or so here before we get back and figure out what a conclusion and what's going on. So yeah, let us know your comments, let us know your feedback, and thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl